Welcome to FRC Media News for Thursday, April 14th, 2016. I'm Keith Tebow. On this week's show, we have details on the Correa administration's decision to privatize trash removal, information on upcoming fundraisers for AHA Fall River and the Children's Museum, and a wrap-up of the cake competition hosted here at BCC. But first, as always, let's kick things off by bringing in Will Richmond, the digital city editor for the Herald News, as we talk about the news issues of the week. Will, how are you?
I'm good, Keith. How you doing?
Another busy week news-wise here in the city of Fall River, dominated by talk of trash. The Mayor Correa this week announced that he has made strides into the pay-as-you-throw process of trash removal. Also, he's announced that he is privatizing trash collection. Before we talk to Will about this, though, let's look at our segment produced this week by FRC Media News' Donna Mata.
Mayor Jazel Correa II held a news conference at Government Center this week where he announced that his administration decided to privatize trash removal in the city.
Out of the gateway cities that exist in Massachusetts, 19 have privatized. So cities like Fall River, cities and towns like Fall River, that's 73%. 73% of cities and towns have already done this because it works. Many of them have already been through multiple renewals of contracts with private haulers. They've saved money. It's a burden that's off the city's back in terms of a service that we are not fully equipped to provide in the 21st century moving forward. You've seen what's happened in Fall River with our past, with our landfill, and how we gave that up because we couldn't compete, we couldn't keep up with regulation. You see what happened with our incinerator because we couldn't keep up with regulations from the DEP. That's what's happening. This industry is changing. Private industry is fully equipped and prepared to take on the demands and the costs associated with trash collection services. We operate in a microcosm of our 30,000 tons of trash disposal every year. In the grand scheme of the millions of tons that Massachusetts produces, that's a small portion. So this is something that is the right decision. It's the best decision for the future of Fall River. And it's something that could have been done many, many years ago, but we haven't. And sometimes the city hasn't made decisions that are in its best interest long-term for our taxpayers. And that's something we believe we're doing today.
Privatizing trash removal also means that approximately 25 employees within the Department of Community Maintenance will be out of work. Outside Labor Counsel John Clifford was asked to the podium by the mayor to talk about the breakdown of negotiations with the Teamsters 251 local union, which represents sanitation workers.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On February 17th, the city sent a notice to Teamsters Local 251 that we were considering privatization of trash service. We set a deadline of March 25th to negotiate changes with the union that would allow us to keep that service in-house. The city met with the union 4 times. We actually extended the bargaining deadline twice. Unfortunately, by our last meeting on April 8th, last Friday, it became clear that we weren't making any progress. 4 meetings into it, almost 3 months into the entire process, or 2 months into the entire process, the union indicated that they hadn't even reviewed the financials that were submitted to them on March 23rd, and that they wouldn't be able to review those financials until sometime later on. So it became very clear that we were trying to come up with a package that would allow the city to keep this service in-house. We took wage concessions off the table as of our 3rd meeting, and we still weren't able to get any progress on things like restrictive work rules and some other issues. So, unfortunately, legally we reached impasse. I think the city met every definition of good faith bargaining that we could be expected to. The mayor's directive to the bargaining team from the beginning was to try to come up with a deal that will allow us to keep that service in-house. But unfortunately, we couldn't make any progress towards that goal, and negotiations reached impasse.
Correa also announced that a new policy to ensure landlords and tenants are in compliance with the pay-as-you-throw program will be implemented starting May 9th. This in an effort to recoup about $1 million in revenue that was lost due to non-compliance issues since the program was started nearly 2 years ago. For more information about the new policy rules, please visit frcmedianews.org.
All right, Donna Mata reporting there on the trash announcement this week by Mayor Correa to privatize trash service and also provide a better enforcement mechanism in terms of pay-as-you-throw. Let's bring Will Richmond back into the conversation. And Will, let's talk a little bit. Those are the basics. Those are the general optics of, if you will, from today's this week's press conference. Let's talk a little bit about some of the details that Donna didn't have time to provide in her report. Let's start with the privatization. The company that the city has secured and signed a contract with, Easy Disposal. Talk a little bit about them and maybe the length of the contract and how much will this cost the city?
Well, the current memorandum of understanding between the city and Easy Disposal is projected to last for 10 years. At this point, we're still trying to obtain the actual contract to know what the full layout is in terms of costs and services. We know Easy Disposal has agreed to purchase the city's truck fleet minus any equipment that the city wants to retain for $1.1 million. So there will be that coming from Easy to the city, and we'll see what they're going to do in terms of hiring of the current sanitation workers. They have been told that sanitation workers will be given the opportunity to interview with the company, and that there may be some preference for them given their knowledge with the city, knowledge of the city's trash routes, and just the overall sort of knowledge of what happens here in Fall River.
Right. Now, there's no guarantee that these workers will be hired by Easy Disposal. And I guess without looking at the contract, I don't know if that's something that could actually be written in to something like this. Do you know?
Well, it didn't, from the press conference, it did not sound as though a guarantee was in order. Part of that is due to, as a private company, they have certain restrictions that need to be met, such as, drug testing was mentioned at the press conference, as well as, they have to interview and meet the qualifications of the private company. So, I don't think there's going to be any sort of guarantee in order, but there may be preference, at least in the interview process.
Right, right. So we'll have to wait to see how that shakes out. And obviously the union is bringing the city up before the State Labor Relations Board as well over the negotiation of this contract, even though you heard there from the counsel for the city that the city, in its estimation, was negotiating in good faith, and there was just an impasse, and it was within their rights to terminate the contract and move forward with privatization. So we're not done with hearing from the union workers who will be impacted by this, correct?
Yeah, the immediate, the union leadership was strongly represented at the press conference. They were in the room as the mayor made this announcement. Immediately following the announcement, they strongly denied that an impasse had been reached. They were open to continuing negotiations. They claim that the mayor's office has sort of bargained in bad faith in terms of providing information to the media. So there's still a long ways to go in terms of that process. Both sides have filed complaints with the state's Labor Relations Board. When those would be heard is anyone's guess at this point.
All right, let's move on to pay as you throw. As many of you know, this program has been in effect for almost 2 years in the city of Fall River. Started by former Mayor Will Flanagan, continued with Mayor Sam Sutter, and now continued by Mayor Correa. Excuse me. One of the issues that has been ongoing is the enforcing people to use the purple bags and promote recycling. It looks like in this instance, Will, that the mayor has tightened that up a bit, but I'm sure there's a lot of questions in terms of enforcement.
Yeah, there's been sort of teases with enforcement. This program was enacted. This time around, Mayor Correa is saying he's going with a sort of three-strike process. First will be a written notice, second, a $100 fine, third, a $200 fine, and ultimately, if you continue to not comply, he says that the city will pull trash carts from those property owners, and they'll be on the hook for purchasing from a private hauler for their trash pickup.
Right. I apologize. Those of you at home may not have heard me coughing. Will, if you heard me, I apologize, as clearing my throat here. This is live TV. Let me just ask you as a follow-up. Waste Zero, from what I understand, is going to be leading the enforcement effort. Is there any jurisdictional issues that need to be brought up in having Waste Zero do this enforcing?
Well, Waste Zero is going to kick off the enforcement process.
Okay.
I think the city is looking at this as a training opportunity. Waste Zero is the company that the city contracted with to provide the purple bags and sort of help with the implementation of the program. Waste Zero has experience with this in many municipalities throughout the state. So they're going to be coming in for the first 2 or 3 weeks to kind of get the enforcement aspect started. Jurisdictional issues, none that I'm aware of, but they were in the city when the program was started back in 2014.
And I know it was also mentioned, and you may have mentioned it in your first description of the program, is that after the third and subsequent warnings or fines, if you will, that the bins will be taken away and trash will not be picked up. Is that correct?
That is the current plan. Trash will not be picked up. If those users start leaving their trash on sidewalks or in the yards, then that will become a whole separate matter that the city's minimum housing department will have to enforce.
All right. There's a lot more to this that we'll be following up, of course. Of course, this will beginning to take effect May 9th, and then there'll be warnings, and then the fines will be issued following week, the 16th. So people will be getting letters in the mail very soon about the changes in the pay-as-you-throw program. And again, we'll be following it along, as will the Herald News, as we move forward on the trash issue here in the city of Fall River. Also this week, Will, as we shift gears, the Fall River School Committee announced that it was moving forward, at least starting to move forward, with its budget for fiscal year 2017, unveiling a $141.6 million spending plan for the upcoming year. That is over $10 million above what is being spent this year, and some $8 million over what has been termed the net school spending figure of $133 million. This is just the beginning of the process for budgeting in the school department. This is the school department's numbers, and that figure has been sent back to the city school committee's finance committee for further study after Mayor Correa this week announced that $141 million is basically not in the cards.
Yeah, he made it clear at the school committee meeting that it was not a possible number, though he didn't really provide much explanation as to why that number was not possible. The school department is pitching that number as its level services budget, which means nothing is being added beyond contractual obligations, increases in transportation or employment raises and those types of matters. So, the school department has said they will instruct all building principals to look back at their budgets and cut them offer options that are based on cuts of 3%, 5%, and 7%. So I'm sure this matter will go on. It's not unusual, though, that the school department number and the city number are far apart at the beginning of this process.
Right. So we'll follow that through as it moves forward. And of course, before long, the mayor will be presenting his city budget to the city council in early June. And we'll be talking about that when it happens. All right, Will, what's happening in the coming days at the Herald News?
Well, it'd be no surprise if we continue looking at the Fall River trash situation. The city council will be meeting next week on Tuesday. So I'm sure this is going to be a topic they're looking to discuss and get their hands around. And could always be some fallout related to government center windows as well, which actually there's a crane out there today that appears to be starting some of the work on the windows that have not yet been repaired.
All right. So always a lot happening at Government Center in Fall River. Will Richmond from the Herald News, thanks as always, and we'll talk again soon.
All right. Thanks, Keith. Have a good weekend.
Thank you, you too. We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
Here are some positions on the newest hot job list for the week of April 11th through April 17th. Licensed Practical Nurse, job number 716-6981. Human Resources Business Partner, job number 716-6991. Hospice Aide, job number 711-8430. Cook for Children, job number 713-7409. Personal Banking Representative, job number 714-9653. Home Health Occupational Therapist, job number 715-3930. For more information, visit frcmedianews.org or call the Fall River Career Center at 508-730-5000.
AHA Fall River is gearing up to hold its first spring AHA Night next Thursday, April 21st. Before that event, though, the nonprofit organization plans to hold a fundraiser this weekend to promote its mission of art, history, and culture in our city. Here's Donna Mata.
But getting back to breakfast at Tiffany's,
Yes.
Sandra,
Yes.
you came up with the idea?
Yes.
Okay, I knew it.
I
no,
did.
no offense, Dave, but I just had a
did.
feeling
no,
that
that's
Sandra was the one who
that was
did
a good. That was a good guess.
Yeah, there you go. So what was the driving force behind that decision?
Audrey Hepburn and the era. I just love that era, and I thought it would be really nice for men and women to come dressed in that period dress if they want. They don't have to, with their gloves and their hats and the pearls, and men in their casual sport jackets, and just mingle in the room with the music going and the local artist. And we're hoping to set a portion up like a little French cafe with croissants, and then some great brunch food, and of course all of the artists that are going to be there with their jewelry, and you'll have an opportunity to buy it. Got Mother's Day coming up, graduations are coming up, so it'll give people an opportunity to buy a gift from a local artist and support them, because people tend to forget about the jewelry artists, that they are in fact artists.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's going to be at the PI building, which
Yeah.
is the People's Incorporated, right on South Main Street. It's unique in that it's across the old Citizens Union Bank. It's in the area where the bank used to be, and there's vaults in the back. So
Oh, it's neat.
it'll be a lot of fun. It's a great venue to have actually to have anything in, but in particular, I think it'll be interesting to have breakfast at Tiffany's there.
The Fall River Children's Museum is gearing up to offer activities during April vacation, which begins next Monday. Donna Mata spoke with Executive Director Joanne Sprague about the museum's offerings of outer space and craft activities when the students are on their vacation.
We are having a week about space. We'll be open an extra day because we usually get good crowds for vacation week. So we'll open on Tuesday this week from 10 to 4. And then the rest of the week 9 to 5, Wednesday through Friday. All week we'll be exploring different things about space, have some fun science and crafts about space. And then on Friday will be the culminating activity, and that is a scientist will be coming to us and bringing an inflatable, they call it an edutarium. And there'll be shows every half hour between 10 and 1. It's recommended that you sign up for a show. There's no additional charge, but the space is limited within the dome. So about 25 people fit comfortably in the dome. There'll be a night sky in there, and kids along with their caregivers or parents will be able to learn how to read a night sky. And learn how to read where the stars are and so forth. So it's about a half-hour show, very entertaining and educational, so hence the name Edutarium. So we're very looking forward to it, and the room we're sitting in right now that's decorated for Spring Fling tonight will be where the blow-up dome will be next Friday for the Edutarium event. So we're very excited about it.
It's interesting that that's what you're calling it, because kids are out of school. They don't want to necessarily be in the classroom. So this really will spark their interest, I take it. What age group?
Well, it's for all ages, actually. He said it's for all ages. So, and it has to be accompanied by a parent. So, the parent can help with with the little ones as far as keeping them in tow. But I'd say particularly probably, kindergarten to 3rd or 4th grade would probably be the ideal. But the younger ones are welcome as well.
We'll have more FRC Media News right after this.
So this is Irish. He's a 3-year-old pit bull. Now despite her size, she's incredibly sweet, loves people, can be a little bit noisy, which she can intimidate people, but it's only when she wants some attention. But again, she's really sweet and she could really use a great home.
This is Chloe. She's a 10-year-old declawed female. She's very talkative, very loving, loves to play, loves to cuddle. And you can come see her right here at Forever Paws Animal Shelter.
On the lighter side of the news, Bristol Community College hosted a cake competition recently, not only for the culinary arts students, but the general public at large. Let's take a look at what happened.
The goal of the cake show is to provide a venue for the local and regional talent, whether it is a novice baker, whether it's a culinary student, whether it is an elementary child who has a passion for baking. It's an opportunity for them to use their creative ability to make a cake and to bring it to a venue where the public can see it. It's as much outreach as it is education.
The event is held each year at Bristol Community College and is open not only to the college students here in the culinary program, but to the general public, including children, teens, and other youth. There are 2 categories, wedding cake and show cake, as well as a live cake making competition. The cake competition in itself was well attended. FRC Media News spoke with former BCC student Alana Vincent, who was in attendance. So you're here at the cake show today to support the BCC students as well as the professors?
Right. Yep. I used to go to school here. Just wanted to see how everyone was doing and look at all the different cakes that we have this year.
Is this the first time you've come?
No, this is my 3rd time. I had a cake last year in it.
Oh, you did? Yep. How did it do?
1 second place. Yeah.
So tell us from your experience, how difficult is it to actually make this kind of creation?
It definitely takes a lot of time, but if you like creating and you like designing and just working on what you envision, then it's a lot of fun and you have everyone helping you out and giving you pointers, so it's really nice learning about it and it's fun.
And finally, BCC was also home to Professional Day, where educational forums were held for faculty and staff. One event focused on technological advances and was named the Tech Petting Zoo. Donna Mata has more.
2016 Professional Day at Bristol Community College, recently held in Fall River, was a huge success, with faculty, staff, and members of the public turning out to see how the college is shaping the future of learning one student at a time. During a technology petting zoo session, I spoke with April Bellafiore, Dean of E-Learning, who explained the concept behind this program.
So the Technology Petting Zoo is designed to show faculty members and really any interested members of the community what kinds of technological tools are out there that could be incorporated into the curriculum. So the Makey Makey that Rose is demonstrating is fascinating from a programming standpoint and also from an engineering and electrical standpoint, because you can make anything conductive that you have your heart set on.
Dean of Academic Affairs Anthony Ucci was also present to talk about VEX Robotics, explaining that in about just 10 hours, anyone can learn how to use this technology.
The way it's set up is it's set up for educators to use. So we have what are called ROVs in a bag, and essentially all the tough parts, all the things that require wiring and soldering and all that kind of setup that you may not want to get involved in is all taken care of for you. And the rest of the part is pretty straightforward and allows you to be very creative. And then the interesting thing about it is after that, you can both of these technologies are really wonderful in that you can just keep building onto them. You can add anything, from an engineering perspective, it's things like sensors and manipulators and actuators and stuff like that, which you're probably saying, oh, why would I want to do that? So don't worry about it. But from a user standpoint, things like cameras and interesting competitions and things like that you can come up with. where you can use it in its very basic form too.
The event is held at BCC once a year. For FRC Media News, I'm Donna Mata.
That's all for this week's edition of FRC Media News. You can catch FRC Media News each Thursday and Friday at 6 p.m. But you can always see what's happening online at our news resource, frcmedianews.org. For all of us here at FRC Media News, I'm Keith Tebow. Have a great week. We'll see you next Thursday.